You heard Emmanuel Macron with some strong words when it came to both the United States and China, most notably that explicit decision to no longer comply with the rules of the World Trade Organization, he says, with those trade wars, those trade tariffs that Donald Trump has been supporting. When it comes to when you meet Donald Trump, well, we noticed it again on Monday night. 2 weeks ago, there was a fawning NATO Secretary General referring to Trump as daddy. Monday evening at the White House, it was the Israeli Prime Minister echoing a call that had been made recently by Pakistan after the U.S. brokered a truce with India in Kashmir.
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved.
Well, joining us from Washington, he's a former U.S. ambassador to the UN under George W. Bush and head of the National Security Council under Donald Trump before a falling out. John Bolton, many thanks for being with us here on France 24.
Glad to be with you.
Your thoughts on how to handle this Donald Trump? Is it the same Donald Trump as the one before?
Well, I think it is the same Trump. He loves flattery because he sees the world through the prism of what's important for Donald Trump. And I think Netanyahu's move in full view of the TV cameras at dinner last night to present Trump with the letter nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize was a real coup. It was evidence of how good Netanyahu is at both flattering Trump and getting press attention for it. So we don't know much about what the outcome of the dinner itself was. There were a lot of important issues like the Iran nuclear program and the Gaza Strip to discuss. But I think Netanyahu did the next best thing. France doesn't have a king anymore, so he can't do what Keir Starmer did to offer Trump a state visit. But I think he gave him the next best thing.
And Netanyahu and Trump, by the way, meeting again later reportedly. Who's calling the shots right now in that relationship, particularly after that 12-day war with Iran?
Well, I think what Netanyahu is trying to do is make sure that he has understanding from Trump that Israel in Iran will do what it needs to do to make sure that the Iranian nuclear weapons program never gets put back together again. And he wants to continue in Gaza to dismantle Hamas, the stated Israeli objective being the elimination of Hamas as a military and political force. That's not what Trump wants to do in pursuit of his Nobel Peace Prize ambitions. He wants to bring peace to Gaza, peace to Iran, peace to Ukraine, peace to India and Pakistan, peace to Rwanda and Congo. So it's a difficult line for the two of them to reconcile. And as I say, unusually in Washington, we don't have any real leaks that came out of the dinner last night. So people are still speculating what, if anything, they agreed upon.
You mentioned that seeking peace on all continents. Donald Trump telling a cabinet meeting a short while ago that he's not happy with Vladimir Putin. And he said, quote, we're getting a lot of BS thrown at us by the Russian president. If you're a NATO ally right now, how do you read Donald Trump? One day he's saying Putin should be back in the G8. The next he says, well, he's not listening to me when it comes to Ukraine.
Well, as I say, he wants that Nobel Peace Prize. You know, Barack Obama got one in 2009, and Trump doesn't see any reason why he shouldn't get one. And I think he's got a legitimate complaint about Obama, who had not been in office long enough to do anything. I don't know what the reason Obama got the prize was, which is not to say because there's no reason to give one to Trump, he should get one either. But he's disappointed in his friend Vladimir Putin, and that's how he regarded him, that Putin didn't give him more of an opportunity to bring at least a ceasefire to Ukraine. And I think that's reflected in a statement Trump made last night, that we would be providing continued air defenses to Ukraine. It's not a full-fledged decision on continuing all military assistance, but I think that was intended as an indication, and that's good news for Ukraine. I think wise decision if he carries through on it.
Trump keeping both allies and adversaries off guard with this these switches and changes that we see in rhetoric. Is the United States' position in the world stronger or weaker since January the 20th?
Well, I think it's confused because Trump doesn't have a philosophy. He doesn't pursue a national security grand strategy, doesn't really even do policy the way we typically understand it. So I think that it's disconcerting for American allies that, as exemplified by his tariff policy, it gets hard to have confidence in the steady judgment in the White House. It may be unnerving to our adversaries, but I think they see what's going on and they know how to flatter him as well or better than some of our allies.
And what about U.S. Soft power? Last week, it was the State Department announcing that it was shuttering USAID, the Lancet Medical Journal reporting that could result in 14 million deaths, similar to a global pandemic or a major armed conflict by the year 2030. All that aid money that won't go to those most in need. Is that what the United States is about, or was this a smart move? Why has he done that?
No, I think it was a mistake. I think ultimately there are any number of reforms and changes that could have been made at USAID. I'm an alumnus of USAID from the Reagan administration. So I believe that there's a U.S. interest in having a bilateral foreign assistance program. I think those statistics by the Lancet are nonsense. And I think that it's just unfortunately that Trump nobody bothered to explain to him what the value of an effective USAID would be. I think it will come back in some form or another and may actually cost more in toto to shut it down and then set it back up again than if it had simply been reformed in the right direction.
And what about international institutions? You're an alum of USAID. You're also an alum of the United Nations. Right now, where do things stand regarding when it comes to, you heard Emmanuel Macron in his speech before the House of Commons saying that the United States is explicitly making a claim that it no longer is complying with, for instance, the World Trade Organization with its tariff policy.
Well, the trade issue is a matter of dispute. By the way, I'm not an alumnus of the United Nations. I was the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, so I'm yet another alumnus of the State Department. I think the UN is functionally broken in its key political institutions, and I'm not sure how that's going to be fixed at any foreseeable time in the future. And as far as the World Trade Organization goes, I think some of its rules are badly designed. I think we've allowed China to take advantage of it over the years, and it's in need of significant fixing as well. I didn't know France cared so much about the World Trade Organization as France. After all, it's a member of the European Union, which has competence to deal in trade, not the government of France.
Well, the French president was discussing the fact that right now he was making a call to the British, saying we have a system where we find ourselves dependent on the whims of these tariffs, and also on the fact that on algorithms made in China and made in the United States.
Well, that's France's problem, honestly. I mean, Macron, this is I don't approve of Trump's tariff policies at all. I think they're a big mistake, but I do get a little tired of the French kicking us in the ankle to express their dismay. I'm not sure that's where the majority of the French people are, but Macron gets a thrill out of it. It's no wonder he doesn't get along with Trump.
He doesn't get along with Trump?
I don't think so. I've heard Trump in private give expression to his views on Macron.
And right now, in the United States, how are things going where you are in Washington, where we began this conversation talking about this issue of how to handle Donald Trump? Is it now all the power in one person's hands?
No, certainly not. The Constitution remains strong. The courts remain strong. The Congress has not been as assertive as it should be, but that's been a problem beginning 125 years ago, in my view. I think Donald Trump is going to cause damage as he did in the first term, but I think it's still clearly repairable. It's just too bad we're going to have to put up with his erratic decision making for another 3.5 years.
John Bolton, many thanks for being with us from Washington.
Thanks for having me.